Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to anyone across the world here. Welcome to our latest Tridium talk on the Powered by Niagara Framework Content Spotlight. And I have the great pleasure to be able to be presenting today some solutions from both Honeywell and Phoenix Contact. So my name's Jacqueline Walpole. I'm a Senior Product Manager here at Tridium. And I'm going to be joined today by both David Witherspoon from Honeywell and from Einat Ditzi from Phoenix Contact. A couple of points of housekeeping. This Tridium talk, as all of ours are, is being recorded. And so I will run through a brief introduction, then hand over to each of our partners here to present their solutions. I'll wrap up and then we'll have a questions and answer session at the back. So if you are joining here on Zoom and you have logged in with your details, then if you go to the Q&A section and paste in any of your questions, you can paste those during the session as you think of them, as you're watching the presentations. Some of those questions we will be able to answer live. Some we may follow up. And so if you've joined with a valid email address, we'll be able to get in touch with you directly to follow up with more details on those. Depends on how we're doing for time, what the number of questions is, etc. So, as I say, I have the great pleasure of being joined here today by two people from two very large global organizations with two very global solutions. One is very new, and that is the one from Honeywell, and the other one is an incredibly established and proven solution that's been around for a short while, but constantly being enhanced and improved. So I will just set the stage slightly. We talk a lot about something called Niagara portability. Now, these OEMs who are here with solutions that are powered by Niagara are what we class as our portability partners, and we work with them. And it's really true that for Tridium's Niagara growth plan is we are targeting four main areas. We want to grow the community and those who know and use and understand the value of Niagara. We want to be able to drive demand for Niagara through different verticals and educate the market. And we believe that portability is a key cornerstone to being able to achieve that. If you're lucky to attend the Niagara Forum in London earlier this year, you will have heard the term portability several times in the presentations from the Tridium leadership, as it's considered one of the main areas that we can actually expand the use of Niagara from standard HVAC to wider solutions. And that's partly because portability can also allow us to reach into adjacent verticals and more specific solutions, such as energy management, more direct control of HVAC devices, and for gateways for more smart solutions. And so you will have heard different terms used. I use, and commonly within Tridium, we use the term portability, but the way you can tell if it's portability is it's a device that's not manufactured by Tridium that has the Powered by Niagara Framework logo on it. And it's also sometimes known as platform independent Niagara. So sometimes you'll see, I will talk about PIN or there will be references to PIN through it. So I just wanted to clarify that for you. Portability devices come in a large number of shapes and sizes, and here are, in no particular order, some of the different form factor devices that are already available and out there in the market. Today, we'll be talking to both Honeywell, which has the device over on the right-hand side, which we're going to be focusing on today. You'll see some of the other devices that are on the screen are Honeywell devices that have been previously established. And also the green ones here are from Phoenix Contact. So what is portability, and why do we talk about this thing called portability? This is a process that's required if you want to put Niagara on a platform that has different hardware and I/O requirements. And so you need to have native code written to be able to interact with the hardware. And we at Tridium here have a portability partner program that has been running definitely since our AX days, so a number of years, where we have been building up software development kits and information to be able to share with select partners that it genuinely is a partnership that we do, and we really want to make sure that that's a partnership that's going to work. And so when we show you these partners that we work with in these Tridium talks, these are partners we work closely with and trust and know that they are building reliable solutions to the wider audience. So, portability process, how does it work and who is who? So it starts with an OEM who is generally a manufacturer of devices or who procures devices to their specification. And if they have the resources to port Niagara onto the device, then first we need to ensure that there's a relationship set up with Tridium. And then the Tridium business champion needs to put forward a business case and to get approval from the business. Now, when that gets approved, then we move forward with an addendum to their reseller agreement, which is the PIN addendum. Here's a PIN phrase. Now, the key thing, this is what I was talking about, is it's really important. Tridium really only wants to engage with people, partners who we believe that we are going to be able to build a successful device between us that really has there is a need for it in the market, and that we are doing this partnership whereby Tridium puts in effort too. It's not, I certainly hope that the partners feel that we don't just charge a fee, throw something over the fence and say, get on with it. The whole point of what you get with the portability partnership is it gets you access first to our Niagara portability software development kit and a higher level of OEM technical support that specializes in this area. You can then port Niagara onto your device. And then we set up all the SKUs and set up the licensing server and give you access to that licensing server and to certain special APIs, etc., for registering your devices, so that you can then sell your devices and sell Niagara onto your devices to your customer base. When you've done the actual porting work, then that gets sent into headquarters, and our technical team run a rather thorough assessment and security review, because you know that one of the key things that we are most interested in when it comes to Niagara on devices is ensuring that it's really safe as far as cybersecurity is concerned. So we do that assessment process, and when we're ready and it gets approved, then we get you set up ready so that you can actually sell to your customers and support your customers. And the key thing is we support the OEM, your OEM supports their customers. So what's this thing that's in the MP SDK? So what you get is you get an HTML interactive documentation pack. It contains all the necessary code and tools and documentation that you need to get the Niagara framework up and running on your target platform. It also has full test harnesses and other such functionality that we expect you to have run through and got all of those tests passing successfully prior to you sending it in to us, because that makes everyone's life a lot easier. If you have any particular difficulties, then that's why we have our special Tridium support team to be able to help you through that. They are very experienced in embedded software. They are the same folks who embed Niagara into our JACE, for example, and some of the most technical people behind that. Many years of experience in the Niagara framework development and the embedded side of it. So if you can't sort it out, between us, we can do. So a lot of people wonder exactly, so the difficulty is distinguishing as to when you really need to do portability. But this diagram here tries to explain the difference between if an example is where you have a JACE, Tridium provides everything from the hardware and the operating system and the Java virtual machine and the native platform code. And then we provide the Niagara framework. And our OEM partners just need to provide, need to provide the user applications on top of that. When you're buying a supervisor, obviously the PC hardware is generally third party, unless you happen to be a manufacturer of PC hardware yourself as well. Windows or an enterprise version Linux as well is again third party, but Tridium provides the native platform code and the Niagara framework. So we give you that build of Niagara that runs on a Windows or enterprise Linux machine. And then again, you provide your user applications. So in the case of Niagara Portability, the OEM partner, the Portability or PIN OEM, provides everything other than the basic Niagara framework. So they provide the hardware, the operating system as required for their hardware, the JVM, and the platform code, as I say, and then we provide the framework and help them with the APIs that hook into that framework. And then they can also provide user applications on top as well. So I think it's just important for people to be able to understand. I have this conversation quite a lot with people who are very new to Niagara and suddenly say, yeah, I want to put it on my own hardware. There is quite a lot of effort and commitment involved. However, we come along to one of our latest product deployment methods we have just launched, and that is Niagara containerization. And there are two flavors of containerized Niagara we have. One is a style of effectively a supervisor that can be run in a container, or the other is a like portability running on a container on a specific device. So ideally for OEMs who are managing connected devices such as routers and hubs and using a container management system, containers can really easily facilitate the easy remote deployment and updating of Niagara. And so we provide the Niagara framework supplied in a Docker container already and have support for a couple of different architectures. Then partner OEMs can add their own applications as required prior to the deployment. And then as the container is commissioned, that container contacts the Tridium licensing server, entitlement server, to authorize the install, deploy the license, and phone home to stay activated. So this was launched as a subscription-only service from the recently launched Niagara 4.13. The main reason it's a subscription-only service is because we need to manage this constant connection for the activation, the licensing, that whole phone home entitlement server. So this is a possible alternative to portability that some people are considering these days, because containerized technology is far more easily available to people. It does have some limitations, and that's the key thing, is that the wonders that portability provides you with is genuine connection through into the hardware, because the whole idea about containerized software and using containers is that those containers are oblivious to the hardware they're actually on. And so if you want to route through anything from any ports that is not just standard Ethernet style, then you really need to do a lot of effort in order to work with your Docker install to be able to actually make that happen. And that same kind of effort is the effort that people put in with portability. And that's essentially what our portability partners do. So back to portability. And back to the purpose of today. Coming up first in our first spotlight here, we have David Witherspoon, who's a global solutions architect for Niagara offerings in Honeywell Building Technologies. And he will be telling you about their latest products. Way to go, David.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As Jacqueline started off, let me just start with hello and thanks for joining this session. I want to take a moment to definitely thank Jacqueline and Danielle for organizing, scheduling these TridiumTalk series, and the entire Niagara community for listening in today. Whether you're new to Niagara, the community, or been around it since the late 90s, like some of us, I want to say thank you for being an active participant and helping us all strive to be better and do more. Today, I get the privilege of sharing with you a brief overview of a piece of our exciting new controller platform, which does utilize Niagara portability. It combines customer feedback from across the globe, the latest technology, and works to deliver outcomes which we've heard are very important to you and your customers. Next slide. As you'll see from this slide, this portability offering is not new to Honeywell in the regard. In the top right corner, you'll see in the North American market what we call Cyper 50. In the European market, it's called Eaglehawk. We started this journey in 2016 in Europe with the AX offering. We migrated it to the N4 platform and have fully moved into the portability offering with additional offerings over years. You'll see different brands here. You'll see the Cyper 30 on the left-hand side. From a Honeywell perspective, from a trend perspective, from an outcome perspective, the goal here is platform, to be able to reutilize existing hardware. It's kind of fits exactly what Jacqueline was just showing in her diagrams of we have a base software offering and we add firmware applications on top per the brand to create differentiation. Okay. In the bottom right corner, you'll see the Novar ES3, Novar multi-site. For those of you that may not be familiar with the current version of what multi-site is, it's multiple. Great way to look at it in North America is take a Walmart or something like that. That's kind of the standard product that's been used as a replacement from the previous OM or OEM versions of Savvy panels and things like that. So they've been able to create a drop-in panel utilizing the Niagara portability platform. So there's no rewiring. It's literally a matter of plug and play and get the system up and going. So that's a terrific benefit of portability that has helped us grow the business as a whole. Next slide. Along the way, and we talked about voice of customer a moment ago, one of the biggest things that we've listened, and it breaks down into about 6 different topics, and this is lots and lots of voice of customer. But there's been all kinds of, the past few years, changes that have been impactful to this industry and to how we need to do things. So from COVID to supply chain issues, changes in building codes and technology. We realized that we had an opportunity to address these customer needs and challenges with a new solution that was built from the ground up. So the controllers, the Niagara portability, all of that kind of combined into meeting the 6 value drivers here we have in mind that all again originated from you, the Niagara community, as well as our larger integrator base of other systems as well. So let's talk a little bit about security. BMS is a critical part of the building infrastructure. It connects into the IT system. Sometimes, not all the time, right? We all know that the favorite word of IT is no. So we have to figure out how to work around that. So security needs to be part of the core. It's designed at the start. We don't have to add it at the end. We're not adding a box that hopefully somebody maintains. It's done with Niagara. It's done with the other pieces of firmware that are, SMAs. That's what SMAs do for us, is to make certain as new threats come about, new features come about, this allows those to be enabled. Second, we move into the requirement for efficiency and ease of installation. Labor shortage is nothing new to this industry. It's been around for more than a decade now. So the installers need efficiency. The builders want to make certain and ensure that their projects run to scale and schedule with minimal risk. The building owners, people funding this, simply want to stay within their budget. So as the building moves from installation to life cycle management, they want to minimize their downtime and ensure the systems are easy to maintain. As we continue that thought of investment, now we're talking about payback. End users are looking at return on investment of all their projects across all their buildings. And we talk about competition. Let's zero in, because that's a very generic term. What I mean by competition in this conversation is all the projects that could be done by that building owner, by that person who holds those purse strings, and BMS is competing against that. So whichever project gives them the best return or will save them the most money is the one that's going to get funded. We've all been there where the BMS they asked for has been VE'd out because somebody needed artwork or somebody needed this, right? Think about those things. Those are important pieces that we're trying to address with this new offering. Then we move into building management. We've talked about lifetime, life cycle management. Now we've talked about the paybacks. Even in today's very hyper-connected world, BMS systems very often still get isolated. And the only way operators truly hear about a problem or an issue is when they get a complaint from an occupant. So we have to work on the convergence of IT and OT. It's a requirement. We have to, moving forward, figure out how to add that value, being cyber secure, doing everything we need to do, while still providing occupant well-being, optimize the cost, and grow the demand. Then there's a technology thread, right? Everything that we do today is an investment. We want to make certain that it shows up, that it's working for us, it's doing everything we need it to, and is relevant today, can utilize pre-existing capital investment, and can move us forward. So with all of those things, next slide, please. We get to talk about and introduce the Honeywell Optimizer Advanced Controller. It's an exciting new solution that we feel has met a lot of these VOCs and exceeded them. It's a holistic solution, covers management, plant control, integration, unitary control layers, all using Niagara portability framework. Okay, the advanced controller is the next step of that portability journey we showed earlier on a couple slides ago. Next slide. Some of the features of this top-end advanced controller, as we call it, the processor is a quad core using an IMX8 Cortex. It's a long life industrial grade processor. We've got plenty of memory. We do support Azure, and there's also pieces back into Niagara that will do AWS and other cloud environments. As we get more and more data, as Niagara Data Services or other remote building services and building management systems are out there, you have to be able to pass that data faster, process it, do what you need to, or even if you want to, do it on site. There's pros and cons to both, and there are advantages and disadvantages, right? One of the additional pieces of this temperature range is minus 25 to 60 C, can be mounted horizontally or vertically. It is AC or DC, 24 volts. And we have a couple different flavors. As you'll see in the selection chart here, the 112 would have one internet and one additional IT port that is a managed switch isolated. The 2 tells us it has two 485 connectors on it, okay? And we have multiple versions. So at initial launch, there's the 112, there's the 133. So now I have 4 Ethernet ports, one that's isolated and 3 managed switch for the OT network. And these are 10, 100, 1000 or gigabit per second switches. We also have 2 USB-C ports. Based upon those configurations, we have 2, 3, or 4 485 connections that can be used as BACnet MSTP, Modbus RTU, or other 485 connection communication platforms. We also built in some touch flakes to add expandability to this and make it easy. So what we end up doing is snapping on IO, and we'll show you that here in just a moment. But some of the pieces that come from this are the ability to hot swap IO should you need, and we have a flexible IO component coming with it. Next slide. The controller does support RSTP. It has firewall configuration on ports to enable and disable, so it's a full managed switch. And again, they are isolated, so they're all capable of 10, 100, 1 gigabit speeds. I can create a full IP-based network and have an IT separation. Okay, those, as we know, those are very important. It gives us redundancy, it gives us cybersecurity, it gives us all the capability we need to meet the security side of things while being future-proofed. One of the advantages of this is also the implementation of a new technology called T1L, which gives us an ability to leverage existing infrastructure. The T1L is built into the advanced controller on the Honeywell branded version today at launch. It's not part of the initial offering, but it will be coming in a future release. We do use T1L at the unitary level. So if you had a BACnet MSTP or you had a LAN network that was a solid network, you absolutely could just replace the controllers and use the existing media to go from that point. Then bring it in either into your 485 connectors. You saw a USB-C connector in the bottom, and on the drop-down door, we use a little module called an if LAN 2, and I can then pick up LAN straight into the advanced controller as well. Next slide, please. This is some of the IO variants we'll have at launch. So you'll see standard, you'll see with HOA and display, all built in. These are hardware and software capable of override. The configurations vary, but we have UIO modules, we have dedicated DI modules, we have some dedicated UI modules, and then we have DOR or relay output modules. Those will be continuing to grow as we continue down the path. And again, these simply snap on into the system, making it a very expandable system. Next slide. One of the voice of customers we talked about a moment ago was ease of installation and service. So we've all walked into a mechanical room. Sometimes they're dark, sometimes they're lit up, but it's nice to be able to look across a room and see a green, a yellow, or a red. If it's green, everything's good. If it's yellow, might be a minor issue we need to look at. Red, it's going to be a severe issue. And if there's no light, you got a really big problem. You got no power, right? Or the controller's blown off the wall because we decided to stick 230 volt on it instead of 24 or something. So the ability to quickly troubleshoot, look, and then figure out, do I want to look at the display that I might have attached into this directly, be it HMI or be it a snap-on 4-inch display that we have that's auto configuration. Those give you the ability to quickly service and have feedback on that controller specifically, or on the network with all the controllers connected to that controller. Flexible installation, as you can see on the right-hand side, we've created the ability to do DIN mount, wall mount. All you do is adjust your clips in the back and they snap in either, again, to standard DIN rail, or I can pop them out and wall mount the controller. Next slide. An additional point that we've heard is make licensing easy. And I think everybody asked for that because you're afraid you might miss something. And one size doesn't fit all. We understand that, hey, we need to make it easy, but we need to have customization as well. So what you see here represented is kind of a t-shirt sizing. One of our offering management folks came up with that terminology, and I kind of like it. We've got a small, a medium, a large, extra large, extra large, and then you can customize from that point. So you're not fixed in point, you can grow it. But within this, as an example, we'll use a medium. I get 100 panel bus points. And what is a panel bus point? It's those IO that we were just talking about. That's built in. I get 500 global points in that license. I also, because of North America, or excuse me, Europe versus rest of world, that's a better way of looking at it. In the North America and rest of world market, we also have license pieces of devices versus Europe where it's points only, okay? So we do have two different part numbers. One notes Europe, one notes the rest of world. And all that is adding is the number of devices. I do have the ability to upgrade and update those points as needed, but keeping it very simple, okay? Next slide, please. With all of those pieces, as you're seeing, there's a whole new platform and architecture coming, while still allowing for backwards compatibility and still allowing room for where's a Jace. I think I saw a question a moment ago, what's the difference? Where's a Jace? This could technically be used as a Jace. However, there are retrofit places, there are applications where a Jace does strongly make sense. So there are places and positioning for both, okay? You'll see underneath the unitary controllers and other devices, you'll see a T1L media adapter. I talked about that very briefly. VAVs, the unitaries, there'll also be a plant controller scaled back version coming to create clear segmentation and steps for the integrators to be able to engineer and utilize in effective manners. The top end supervisor, and then in our case, we use remote building manager. We can also utilize the Niagara data services as a connector to get data to that cloud link and that data lake. Next slide, please. In closing, thank you very much again for attending this time and listening. Should you have any additional questions, there's a QR code that'll take you to the website, and there are some spec sheets and other data sheets there. There's also the website listed out. And as always, from a global perspective, contact any of us from Honeywell, your local sales reps. We're happy to help and get you more information on these offerings. Thank you again.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much. I certainly hope that's really interesting for everyone to have one of the first glimpses that they get into the Optimizer Advanced Controller. Certainly, I've had the pleasure of seeing it and seeing it operating in real life, and it certainly provides an exciting new era for the Honeywell devices as a whole. Also does help, it's very aesthetically pleasing. So as David says, walking in and being able to look at a control panel and full of these kinds of devices where it's really clear to see the current status of those devices, it really jumps out at you. So without further ado, I'd like to move on to our second spotlight session today with Einat Ditzi from Phoenix Contact, where she's going to talk to you about the Analytics solution from Phoenix Contact and their IRC controller. Einat, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Hello, everybody. As Jacqueline already mentioned, my name is Einat Ditzi. I'm in charge of the product management in our building technology product line of Phoenix Contact. And I will be happy to present our analytics solution, which is completely based on the Niagara framework. So we can start. Thank you. So just a quick introduction to Phoenix Contact, because yeah, perhaps some of you are aware of us more of in the field of industrial automation and might be not aware of our building intelligence solution. So just a few words about Phoenix Contact and what we do. Great. So Phoenix Contact is a German company that is already 100 years old. We celebrated greatly this year. It's a privately owned company, which makes us very flexible and very open to innovation, not being dependent on anybody, which is a very important factor for the company. Can move forward. Great. So with 100,000 products, which are manufactured in 11 production sites worldwide. We're not just a German company, we're a very international one. A quarter of our sales is in Germany, but the rest is distributed abroad. And we reached the size of over 20,000 employees lately. About half of them in Germany. And as mentioned, we were very happy to celebrate 100 years of innovation this year. Great. So just a bit of our history in numbers. 2007 was the time we reached 1 billion euros in sales. Was a big milestone for the company with almost 7,000 employees. And 2021, we already had 3 billion in sales and reached more than 20,000 employees. And we will look in the next slides in the products that we focus in, just a bit of explanation of the strength of Phoenix Contact and our focus and expertise. So we have a very large product portfolio. We have over 60,000 standard products, and the rest is more OEM or customer-specific products. Specifically, we are very much known worldwide for industrial automation products and solutions. The topic of solution and not just being product-oriented has been a big part of our strategy for the last 10 to 20 years. And this is something that we live very passionately in the field of building automation. For us, it means not just looking at those products, but also tailoring a good solution for the client that is answering the entire request and just making sure that the client gets everything they need. So with a very large product portfolio, it's it's making our life easier to tailor such a solution for the client. Yes. So now we're approaching a bit the topic of buildings. With a few more clicks, we can see the rest of the slide. Thank you very much. So over 60 years, Phoenix Contact has been building their own buildings. managing them also independently, so not being dependent on external planners and facility managers. For here are some examples, like our very large location in Nanjing, in Harrisburg, Finland, Switzerland, Brazil, but we have many other buildings all over the globe, several of them in Germany. And as mentioned, we gathered in the last 6 years a lot of experience with building and planning, building, and especially managing those buildings, which gave us a lot of information about what are the challenges in building management, user comfort, energy management, and efficiency. What are the costs that involve building management? So as a company, we grew into understanding and living the topic of buildings as a part of our DNA. So that led us in the last 20 years to focus also on building automation, not just industrial automation, which used to be the main thing that Phoenix Contact was doing. And since 2013, Phoenix Contact has been very busy with building automation. Can move forward. So, Emalytics is our brand for the building IoT platform and our solution in the field of building technologies. Emalytics stands for Energy Management and Analytics, and our passion is offering smart services and smart solution, overall solution for convenience and flexibility in use of buildings. So Emalytics is the heart of the building. It integrates all the technology we can find in a building into one IoT network, which is very modern, very future focused. We are managing not just the building, but also the planning processes and the digitalization of the building in a very user-centric approach as users of buildings, as planners of buildings for over 60 years. So the buildings should be updatable, upgradable, and very, very important, secure. We all know the topic of cybersecurity and how critical it is as it becomes more and more critical every minute and of course every year. So those are the main topics that we focus on in our solution. So what is the Emalytics solution? It contains several pieces. I start from the right. The Emalytics automation part is actually our branding of the Niagara framework. This is based on the Niagara framework and what we have, what we're receiving as part of our very long-term partnership with Tridium. So we've been working together with Tridium and being very excited about Niagara since 2003. There has been a lot of communication, very good partnership with Tridium, which led us to the very natural conclusion to use portability as a base to our controllers and our solution, which we started implementing actively in 2013. The work with Tridium has been excellent, and we are very thankful for the very good support and user service that we get from Tridium. So portability is a very good option and very good solution to use the heart that already exists of Niagara and build around it a very unique solution that every company can develop on its own. So that was a bit of a side comment to why we use Niagara as our analytics automation heart. On top of Niagara, of course, we have our own series of modules, drivers, libraries, templates, systems, and programs that we develop for our analytics solution, for our analytics users. So it's not just Niagara, but the entire world around it is part of the analytics automation. But that's the beauty of Niagara, and that's the beauty of portability. It enables you and enables a company to really create and develop so much on top of the Niagara platform and create the flavor and the focus that you wish to use as part of your solution. For us, as a mainly industrial company and coming from Germany and having a lot of experience in this area, our main focus is the industrial area, industrial automation. We also work a lot with commercial buildings, but our heart is beating for very robust technology, very modular solution that can be used for very different types of requirements. So also in commercial buildings which are using the analytics solution, we offer a very robust hardware and software that is also redundant, for example. So we can offer something that is much more specifically tailored for users that need not just a compact solution, something that is used the same in all the buildings, but something that is much more tailored and user specific. So that is more the focus of Phoenix Contact, and we will see that a bit when I talk about our controller and how it is designed. So the analytics automation is built on Niagara, and it contains, of course, the supervisor, but also our series of products that port Niagara on top of that. Then we have the cloud. On top of the automation solution, we have a cloud that enables us not just connection to external systems running on different clouds, but also technical monitoring, analysis, operating instructions, and also rule-based automatic management of buildings. So all this logic and AI is running on the cloud, which is also part of our framework. And we have the topic of visualization, which we take very seriously. We see that with having all this analytics, having all this power is meaningless, or at least not very useful, if it's not presented to the customer, to the facility manager, to the system integrator in a very easy, friendly, and well visualized form. So we are investing a lot of resources in creating a very user-friendly platform for digitalization, which offers project wizards and using templates and using 3D plans, for example, and a lot of tools that create the design and visualization very easy for the client, and also creating a very advanced and very user-friendly platform. So together we have something that is a very comprehensive solution, extremely modern, very futuristic solution for many different types of buildings on top of a very robust hardware. So a bit of the architecture, as we can see, on top we have the supervisor in the cloud, enabling us to connect to apps and third-party services. If you ever visited our buildings, you know that we also have our own app that enables you to navigate the building using the app and the connection to the cloud, and also control the room that you're in. So that's part of our demo and how we show our users and our visitors analytics. Of course, we use the BMS system based on the ILC 2050 BI and other products that are running Niagara as the building management system. We have a connection to the different equipment that is running in the building, such as BACNA, DALI, Modbus, using different protocols. Some of them are being offered by drivers building in Niagara, and some of them are drivers that we developed on our own, and some of them are being part of the Niagara Portability, and some of them and are running on the controller itself or the supervisor, and some of them are specific to modular IOs that can be connected to the ILC based on the specification and requirements of the project. So our controller does not come as all other Niagara controllers are compact controllers that come with a predefined set of IOs. We also saw in Honeywell that they have, we just saw in the presentation of David, that there's also edit models, but they're preset models. Our solution is a bit different. We have a controller with a lot of possible slices, also for I/O, digital I/Os, analog I/Os, that can be used project specific. So it's a very open, it's a very modular and scalable controller, and this is the strategy and the way that we decided to use with portability. As mentioned, this is the beauty of portability. You can use Niagara for the hardware that you choose to have, that you can manufacture according to your philosophy and strategy. And of course, on the bottom, we have the connectivity to the build devices, the heating, the lighting, and so forth. So this is the architecture in a nutshell. Can move on. Yeah, so a bit of our IoT controller. The main controller that we use today is the ILC2050BI. ILC stands for inline controller and is actually a name of a series of controllers that Phoenix Contact has been using and offering and developing for the last years in many different for many different components as gateways and as PLC controllers. But the ILC2050BI is specifically a Niagara-based controller. So we took the inline housing and the design of the inline with the IOs, the modular IOs. We took it and we decided to port Niagara on it. Together with the great support of Tridium, it became a very popular device. It's very robust. It's an industrial-based controller, but also, of course, being used for commercial buildings. And the idea is to use the slices, the IOs that your user needs for the project, and it can be extended with up to 63 IOs per controller. So that enables a very good solution. It requires very little space in your control cabinet because the controller is very small. The IOs are very slim, and that's a very good solution to avoid using too much space, which requires a lot of resources and costs in a control cabinet. We can move forward so we can see a bit more about the controller. The controller, of course, is running Niagara, therefore supports the Niagara built-in drivers. But as mentioned, we added our own drivers. For example, for an Ocean, we have our own MP bus, M bus, DALI 2 drivers that are being used by specific IOs that can be bought and used for projects. And there's a whole list of drivers that we offer as part of the analytics solution, which you can see on our website as in addition to all the other documentation that shows you the ILC and its IOs, what it can do, how it can be installed, and so on. Can move forward. I didn't mention that the ILC 2050 is also BACnet certified, and we are following their certifications that Tridium is running for the JACE. So every BACnet certification that is done for the JACE, we immediately follow and run the certification for the ILC 2050 BI. It's very important for us. We come from Germany. The clientele in Europe is using BACnet very passionately, and their certification plays an important role in our market, or especially the European market. Here we can see a bit of the controller with IOs. You can see you can you can add to the controller a whole list of IOs, specifically what is being required for the project. If it's DALI, if it's just digital or analog IOs, MP bus, M bus, anything that is required, and up to 63 of them per controller. We can move, yeah. So we can see here's an example solution, or how a typical architecture can work in a project. So you can see you can use the ILC in different combinations, running different equipment, used as a floor controller or an edge IO device, connected to gateways or without gateways, just based on the requirements. But specifically for all the drivers that I mentioned, like DALI, MBus, and PBus, and Ocean, no additional gateways are required, which is part of the great advantage of using the ILC. So I just wanted to mention the communication channels that you can use in order to contact us for more information. We can see them. Yeah, great. So you have our building automation solution on our Phoenix Contact website. If you look under products and solutions, you have building automation. You also have a direct website for the ILC 2050. So all the information, the downloads, the documentation is also there. We have the knowledge base also on our website where you can search for specific questions or terminology and see all the articles that we offer. And of course, Twitter and YouTube, you can also see very useful information about using the ILC 2050 BI or analytics and the main advantages and different demos and also a reference project in which analytics is already successfully implemented. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that was an interesting view of how portability is actually used for something a bit different, a solution that is much more robust, a modular solution. And for any questions, I would be happy to get your emails or be in contact after the seminar is over, so we can also connect you to our subsidiary and provide you more information. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Inat. That I have to admit, this is we have had less questions than usual coming through whilst our presentations have been going on, but I think it's because these partly this is the third in our journey of our portability spotlights, and so a lot of the generic questions have been answered, but especially both presentations nice and thorough and in depth as to what you offered using the Niagara frameworks. Thank you both for your input. Before we get to have a look at what the questions are, let's have a quick look at the resources and materials that we have available. So if you want to find more information, particularly on portability and devices that are powered by Niagara, if you go to the Tridium.com website and you go to products, Niagara framework and powered by Niagara, that will take you to our powered by Niagara page, which explains to you how to get in touch with us if you want to power your devices with Niagara and what they can do for you. But also, if you scroll down from there, you will see a listing of partner offerings powered by Niagara. And so each of our partners that's taken part in these spotlights each have a listing. They explain their products and have hyperlinks to be able to go and get you contacted straight into their websites and to be able to download some of their information. So I think that's something I really want to ensure that everyone in the Niagara community gets the message that Niagara on portability devices, on these devices that are officially powered by Niagara, it is the same Niagara. The Niagara is the same. It's able to connect equally with any other form of Niagara. And these partners have done the hard work to ensure that it is a seamless integration and they are all fully interoperable with the Niagara framework. So where can I find this recording? Obviously, not everyone can attend the full session, and some might not have been able to attend today or might want to run it back. So if you go to the Tridium.com website and you go to events, it will take you to the Tridium events page. So if you select all events or past events, you'll be able to see past events. This is an example from one of the previous ones we've had on the Niagara Framework Content Spotlights, one of the first ones we had this year. You'll be able to play back the video because they're all uploaded onto YouTube there. So that leaves me to see what we have outstanding as far as questions and answers. I see we have a couple here. So David is actually officially typing an answer to a question here. Are there currently any options for running non-Niagara containers in parallel on any of these Edges controllers with a Niagara container, such as Node-RED or MQTT broker? So that's really in relation to containerized Niagara, and that's one of the benefits of using containerized Niagara. So if you've got a platform that's using a Docker container, then your Niagara in your Docker container, as long as you allow it adequate resources, which obviously are managed by the Docker platform, then you can run different services in different containers. So another one here asks here, this is one for INAT, is the Phoenix ILC 2050 a supervisory controller and running N4 station OS and capabilities? Would you like to take that one?
Yes, of course. So the ILC, thank you for your question. The ILC 2050 BI is a controller that is, you can see it as a JACE, but working a bit differently because it's a different hardware and it's a modular one. But of course, we're running the latest version of Niagara. Every time that a new Niagara version comes out, we get the NPSDK version of it. We implement it, and within a few weeks, it's also available for the ILC 2050 BI and all other products that are Niagara running coming from Phoenix Contact. So yes, it's just like using a JACE. It's might need to wait a few weeks after the JACE is already running the latest version to get also the latest version from the ILC. If you look at our website for the ILC 2050 BI, you can see that we have the latest version under the downloads. And I think that answers the question. If not, feel free to email me and I will be happy to give you some more information.
Great. I see there's been another couple of questions that have been asked in the Q&A and have been answered from some of David's colleagues who were logged in whilst he was talking. So asking for the comparison between the Honeywell Optimizer Advanced and the JACE 8000 or 9000. I think you clarified those. And that's a key thing about portability is there are different needs for different buildings and for different overall solutions, and that's what the whole point that I think David and INAT both have explained quite clearly here is the fact that we work together, we work with the Niagara framework, and our partners here provide different solutions that fit different solutions that they provide for different environments. So for example, you have panel bus is the proprietary IO and some different controllers that you can get with the optimizer suite. So that's one of the advantages if you want to be able to go down that line. And as INAT's shown with the very flexible IOs and additional drivers that they have on their devices, on Phoenix Contact devices, each brings a different benefit to the market, and it means that you can pick and choose. And we as Tridium are very happy as long as you've got Niagara running your building. We think that you will be safe, you will be secure, and you will have a very flexible and open platform that can work for you. So I'd like to wrap up today by saying thank you very much. Thank you to our presenters today, to David and INAT. Thank you to all of you who've taken the time out from your day, morning, afternoon, or evening to join us across the world. So thank you very much for taking part. As we say, if you've got any further questions you would like to either follow up directly with either David or INAT or myself, or just come to Tridium and we'll be able to help direct you through. So thank you very much for everyone's time today, and I hope to speak to you soon in person. Thank you.